Howdy guys, lovely to see you all again. You're probably wondering, what's that crazy kid Chris Zoupa doing with a Fender Stratocaster? Well, I borrowed this off one of my students and I thought, it's about time I did some Stevie Vaughn and maybe some Jimi Hendrix. So without further ado, let's have a look at the solo from Pride and Joy. Alright guys, before we get too excited, we need to talk about the tuning, which is E flat standard, which goes E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, and another E flat. So get yourself in tune and we'll get started. Alright, let's take a look at the first section. I'm going to start off with this little chord from 10 of the second string and 11 of the third, and I'm also including a cheeky open note on the first string as well. We're going to slide that up 2 frets to 12 and 13 while playing that open note, and I'm going to have a leading triplet in just before the on-beat of the solo. So we're going to go like this. Then I'm going to borrow that idea again, but I'm going to have 4 triplets. So I'm going to go. So I'm going to go 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do a very similar idea, but I'm going to slide this 12 and 13 shape over to 15 and 16, and I'm going to do 4 more triplets when I get there. Pineapple, 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 pineapple. And then once again, I'm going to slide back to 12 and 13 for another 4 triplets. So we're working with this 4 triplet idea. We've just got that cheeky lead in of just the single triplet at the start. So this is what we should have thus far. I'll play it a little slower. Then it works into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I've got a bend from 14 of the third string into 12 of the second and the first. So I've got a flat finger. Then from that point, what I've got here is a bend from 15 of the second string and then a double stop chord playing 12 of the first and the second. And that phrase is exactly the same 3 times. So I've got the bend into the 2 double stops 3 times. With the other little chunk before it now. Hopefully that's all making sense. Now, because it's kind of a longish solo and there's a lot of information and it's working over a 12 bar, twice actually, there's 2 groups of 12 bars, we're going to be dividing 4 sections up into 6 bar chunks. So it might seem like it's ending in a weird spot, but there is method in my madness. So we're 4 bars in, we're going to have a look at the 5th and the 6th, which is going to be this phrase. Alright, let's take it slowly on that. So working around the E minor pentatonic, I'm going to start off with this. Slight bend on 15 of the first string, and then I'm going from 12 of the first into the second with that cheeky roll. At the end of that, I'm doing a bend from 14 of the third string into a flat finger again, going second to first on the 12th fret, and then ending on 15 of the second string. Hopefully that's all making sense. What I'm doing here is I'm bending the third string up and back. I'm playing it in both directions. So I want to play in the up part and the down part. At the end of the down part though, I'm going to pull off to 12. And that's going to resolve to 14 of the 4th string. So let's have a look at what we've got thus far from the 5th bar. Then the next bit goes. The next bit, I'm playing 12 of the third string, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 up bends from 14, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on the 5th pick, I want to bring that bend down, and then pull off to that 12 and then resolve to 14 of the 4th string. So let's go from the 5th and 6th bar, and then we'll go right back to the start of the section and do it relatively slowly. And that's the 6th bar. So let's go right back to the start, do it all again relatively slowly, and then again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's have a look at the second section. I'm going to start with this phrase. So sexy vibrato from 12 of the 3rd string, then pulling off 14 to 12 on the 4th string and jumping to 14 of the 5th. At the end of that, I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I've got very basic kind of blues lick there. I'm bending 14 of the 3rd string and then playing 12 of the 2nd first, back to the 2nd again. And that's going to resolve to 15 of the 2nd. So let's have a look at what we've got thus far. At the end of that, what I've got here is a grace note slide from 14 to 2. So I'm barely acknowledging that 14. When I get to that 2, I'm bending in and out into a pull off to the open note, and then jumping to 2 of the 4th string. So let's have a look at what we've got thus far from the start of the section. At the end of that, I've got a hammer on from open to first on the 3rd string, and then playing open on the first 2 strings there. A cheeky double stop. After that, I work into this phrase. I'm playing 3rd fret of the 6th string and then open 1, 2 on the 5th. And then what I've got here is just a B7 chord. So I'm playing the 2nd fret of the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th string. And then my pointer finger is playing that D sharp or that E flat on the 1st fret of the 4th string. So when I get into that, as soon as I hit that 2nd fret of the 5th string, you kind of want to be getting that B7 position ready. I'm going to play the middle 2 strings, the 3rd and the 4th together, and then just the 1st string by itself. So to go. Let's go from the lead in now. At the end of that, I'm going to play open on the 5th string and then 2 Gs on the 6th string. Hopefully that's making sense. And then it goes into this phrase. Let's do this and then we'll go back to the start and put it together. So this is a very fun slide. You don't have to be enormously specific with it, but if you want to go to sort of between 15 and 17, I think that's pretty sexy. So I'm going from 3 all the way up the neck on the 1st string back to 3. Then I work into this phrase. So I'm playing open on the first 2 strings and then this sort of gross tritone thing on 2nd of the 2nd string and 3rd fret of the 1st. And back to the open note. At the end of that, I'm playing a double stop on the 3rd fret of the 2nd and the 3rd string. At the end of that, I'm going to slide 2, 3, 2 on the 3rd into an open note. And then play, what have I got there? It's the 2nd fret of the 4th string, so go. Let's go right back to the start of the section, see what we've got thus far, and then we'll add the last chunk to it. So what I've got there, open on the 6th string and then open on the 1st and 2nd together. And I've got 2 triplets sliding into the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and the 4th fret of the 3rd. Then, see that lick so many times in this song. Anyway, I'm sliding backwards from 4 to 2, pulling off to the open note, and then I'm jumping to 2 of the 4th string. At the end of that, so I've got a hammer on from open to 1st on the 3rd string, a dead note or just a womp. At the end of that, these flat fingers are covering the first 3 strings. So I'm playing the 3rd fret of the first 3, and then from the 2nd fret. Before we finish this 12th bar, it's going to have a triplet that works into the 3rd section. So I'm sliding from 3 to 5 with a grace note and an open note on the 1st string, and I'm just going to do 1 triplet on that. Sort of go. And then the next section. That gag keeps going. So we've got quite a lot of information here. I'm going to play what we had thus far. I'm going to play the whole section relatively slowly, and then we'll do it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. All right, section 3. This is probably the easiest sort of 6 bars, so yay, a bit of a holiday. So we've just slid in from the end of the 12th bar into this. I'm playing the 5th fret of the 2nd string and the open note on the 1st string, and I have 4 triplets here. Hopefully that's making sense. What I've got here is 4 little chords from 7 of the 1st string and 8 of the 2nd. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I slide into 2 of the 3rd string, bending that in and out into a pull-off. And then we're jumping to 2 of the 4th. Let's have a look what we've got thus far. Hopefully that's making sense. And then I go into this phrase. So what I have here is a grace note slide from 3 to 5 on the 2nd string, still with that cheeky ringing open note. So I've got 1 slide in, I hit it again when I get there, and I've got a cut off. You can do a aggressive womp and get a bit of a dead note sound. It adds a bit of vibe. And I do it again. This time I'm going to do the slide in, then 2 more hits, so there'd be 3 altogether. At the end of that, I've just got a group of 6 on that 7/8 chord again. So this is all relatively simple. Let's go from the start of the section, see what we've got thus far, and then we'll add the next 2 bars to it. Hopefully that's making sense. And then I work into this phrase. So this is relatively simple. Those are the last 2 bars. So I've got a group of 6 and a group of 5 working with very, very slow triplets. I would dare say they are quarter note triplets. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once again, we're doing that pull off from 2 to open on the 3rd string and jumping to 2 of the 4th. And that is our next 6 bars. So let's go right back to the start of the section, put it all together at a gentleman's pace, and then again, even slower, some tabs. One more time, some tabs. All right, guys, last section and last 6 bars. I'm going to start off with this phrase. Nice and sexy. So I've got this hammer on from open to 1 on the 3rd string. And then I'm playing the 1st and the 2nd string open. At the end of that, so I'm going to do a slight bend on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to an open note, and then resolve to that 3rd fret. At the end of that, That next little chunk there, I'm sliding from 2 to 4 on the 3rd string, and then jumping to 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Then I jump back up to 4 of the 3rd string. At the end of that, I'm going to do a backwards grace note slide into a pull-off from 4 to 2 to the open note, and then resolve that to 2 of the 4th. So I've got, okay, at the end of that. So I've seen a very similar phrase to this. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing open on the 6th string, and then open on the 1st and the 2nd, but separately this time. At the end of that, I've got a slight bend from the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to the open note on the 1st. I've got this sort of trill going from open to 1 on the 1st fret of the G string, the 3rd string. So let's have a look at what we've got thus far. Hopefully that's making sense. Then we've got a lead in very similar to what we had before into the B7 chord. 3rd fret of the 6th string, then open 1, 2 on the 5th. And then when I get into this chord, the B7, a very similar premise to what we had last time. I'm going to play 4 and 3 together, and then just the 1st string. And I do that idea twice. And then he sort of just does sort of a sloppy 3 strums. Then I work into this phrase. So some of these are starting to bleed together. You'll notice that the phrases sound very, very similar, but there's slight variations. This one goes. All right, let's take that slowly. I'm doing a slight bend on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, then jumping to an open note, and then playing 3rd fret of the 2nd. Then I've got, let's slow that down. I'm sliding from 2 to 4 on the 3rd, and then hitting 4 2 times, and the 2nd time I hit it, I grace note slide back into a pull-off. And that's obviously it always resolves back to that cheeky E note. At the end of that, I'm going to play open 1 2 on the 4th string now. That E flat D sharp mode is very, very spooky. Anyway, let's go from what we had at the start of this section. Okay, then I work into this phrase. Let's take our time with this. I'm going to play open on the 6th string and then open on the 1st and the 2nd together. This is very similar to some of those other phrases we've done, but instead of going, I'm going to have a bit more of an arpeggiated feel. So I'm going to go. I slide in from 2 to 4 on the 3rd string, and then I play 3 on the 2nd string just by itself. And then I'm going to play 3 on the 2nd string with open on the 1st string 2 times as a chord. At the end of that, grace note slide backwards into the pull-off, jump into 2 of the 4th string. Once again, we've seen that guy so many times. At the end of that, I'm going to play open 3 on the 6th string and then open 1 2 on the 5th. And that is the whole solo. Thank you for bearing with me. So let's go right back to the start of the section, play it at a gentlemanly pace, and then we'll do it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. And that was the main, big, delicious middle solo from Pride and Joy by Stevie Vaughn. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please click the links in the description box to my Facebook group, my Patreon, and you can also check out my Udemy courses. I have one on Ultimate Shred Machine, which is all about shredding, legato, sweeping, and tapping. I also have one on modes. And if you're a reader, ta-da! or ta-da, depending on where I decide to put it. I've recently written a book called Ultimate Shred Machine, dealing with shredding, sweeping, legato, tapping, all of the fun stuff, heaps of exercises to get your chops up. So if that's something you guys are interested in, check it out. It is a doozy. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. I'll catch you guys all very soon.